Yo, what's going on, YouTube? Coming at you with an Abyss Void Gauntlet guide, one that I had requested from a handful of folks. I did a lot of testing with this in different builds, light, medium, running different perks on the Void Gauntlet and different perks, different abilities on the Great Axe, and I came up with two builds that felt really good. So, getting into it, each build has a different play style. One is a little more practical. It is a Void Bruiser. You're going to be running Abyss with the Void Gauntlet. On the Void Gauntlet, we are going to be running Scream. And for the perks on the Void Gauntlet, we're going to be running Scream, Oblivion, and Tether. And then on the Great Axe, we're going to be running the normal Bruiser clump fighting abilities, Maelstrom, Gravity Well, and Charge. This build is going to be a clump fighting build, so we are going to be pushing up to the 350 con, 199 intelligence, and then you can float some other perks out there. I recommend 25 in strength and 25 in either dexterity or focus. The whole purpose of this build is ultimately to provide that clump debuffing and CC, and then coming in with high base damage as well as empower and making an impact. So how are we going to do that? So when you come up to the clump, you're going to want to drop that Oblivion to remove all of their all of their buffs rather. After you nullify and Oblivion them, you're going to hit them with the Putrefying Scream to apply that 44% anti-heal, and then you hit them with the Tether, swap to Great Axe. At this point, you can either grab well into a Maelstrom, or grab auto Maelstrom, or just auto into the Maelstrom, depending on the timing of that clump fight and how the situation's going. You may not have time to throw the Gravity Well right then and there, in which case you can follow up after your Maelstrom with the Gravity Well to reclump them and finish the kills. So a couple different ways you can play that combo with it. It feels good. It feels really good. The Scream feels really good, especially even if outside of a clump situation, if you're chasing a healer or someone that's a little quicker on the outside edge and your group's kind of, hounding them down, or you see an assassin chasing somebody, you can turn, Scream, hit it with the Tether. So the nice thing about Tether is the 20% in power that you gain from Tether persists through weapon swap. So when you switch over to your Great Axe, you're still going to have it. That's something that both builds capitalize on. So just a little bit of extra information there, as well as your Oblivion is going to give you empower when you stand in it after you put your Void Gauntlet away. So that's kind of the reason for the whole build. Also, when you Obliv and then Scream, if you have any critical hits during your Scream, that'll help reset the cooldowns of your Oblivion a little bit, as well as apply a weaken if they're in your Oblivion. So that's kind of why it's in that order. You want to Obliv, Scream, and then Tether, and then swap to the Great Axe and get active. Your mana is also going to be lower, proccing that extra damage from the Abyss. So it's all around just a really strong kind of brawling build. For the perks on the armor, like I said, you are going to want Nullifying Oblivion on the armor. You are going to want Scream on the Void Gauntlet. I recommend Tether on the armor as well. And then on the Great Axe, you can either put Vicious or Enfeebling Maelstrom for this build. Both do feel really good. If you run a lot of OPR, you could also drop the Maelstrom and put a Crippling Reap on the axe and use Reap instead. Reap in OPR feels super strong because there are a lot of builds that are running around, and Reap does help you chase them down, put a really strong slow on them, and then beat their ass, and it doesn't really let them get away from you. So just a kind of a little bit of tidbit there that you can do instead. But otherwise, on the armor, we're going to be looking for health as the main perk. As a high con player, health, we really feed off of that perk, so we are going to want to run health on the armor. The outside of that, you can run freedom, some form of mitigation perk. So Grit Ward's not bad, Enchanted Ward, Elemental Aversion, all those mitigation perks do feel really good on it. Artifact on armor, we're still going to be running Tumbler Shoes, man. Getting the Tumbler Shoes, giving you 5 Shirking Fort on proc, plus the heal, plus the Shirking Empower max stack. It just feels super strong, even with the cooldown that was introduced to it. They're still the go-to perk for a medium Bruiser build. Onk is still going to be our amulet with the stand recovery added to it. The ring for this build, void damage, hardy, and then a purifying heart would be a really good one if you're running detonate heart rune, which does feel nice. I haven't done a lot of testing with the new heart runes that have been buffed. So, for example, Dark Ascent, Fire Kick, and Worm. Haven't really done a ton of testing with them with their damage increases, so that could change in the future with some testing. We'll see. And then the earring, I am a big fan of regenerating, refreshing toast, and fortifying toast. Some people are not very fond of refreshing toast since the nerf. I still enjoy it for the fact that it not only reduces my cooldown of potions, but it also reduces the cooldown of my non-consumables, or non-potion consumables rather, such as my gemstone dust, my cleansing potion in war, stuff like that. I still think it gains a ton of value across the board. And then fortifying toast, I really like it because I've weighed the other earring perks, and I really didn't see another one that gained more value than Fortifying Toast, especially now that they've nerfed Healthy Toast. So with Fortifying Toast, if I'm drinking a potion, I'm going to need that Fortify. So to me, it makes sense, especially when you compare it to all of the other perks that are available on the earring. And again, Heart Rune. So Heart Rune, I'm really liking the Brutal Detonate still. You just got to use it smart. You can't use it when you're in trouble. You know, don't be an idiot. Fire it when you're confident you're going to get kills, and that you're safe. Don't fire it when you're in trouble. If your debuff bar is full of red debuffs, don't hit it. Simple as that, you know. Make sure you're pretty healthy when you're hitting it, that's all. So I think that has been the one winning out. You know, you can switch it up if you'd like. This build, because you don't have Hammer to bail you out, or Ice Gauntlet to bail you out, you could go something a little more defensive just to be a little safer. So something to think about. Now, going into the offensive build, this is the 350 intelligence version of the build. With this one, I prefer to run a light build with this one, and I do prefer to run Tether on the Void Gauntlet. Now, you can run this in medium if you'd like to be a little bit tankier. That's completely up to you. I ran it in both, and in both it feels good. For my Great Axe abilities, I have two different builds that I run. One is a complete meme, and it uses Execute, and it's just all about chopping off them heads, you know, hitting these high Execute numbers, and just feeling real good about being a troll. And then the other one's the more serious build. So the more serious build is going to be Reap, Gravwell, Charge. I think as a Great Axe Disruptor / Assassin role, this build is just busted. And then we're going to be running the exact same Void Gauntlet tree with this build. I did do some messing around with Orb. The only problem with Orb is it does regain mana. And in this build, it's already difficult to maintain a sub 100 mana status. So you want to do everything you can to not gain more mana. So that's why I do chop Orb out of the picture. So we're going to be doing the same thing. Scream, Obliv, Tether. In this build, I like to switch the perks. I like to have Tether on the Void Gauntlet, Scream on the armor. Now, you don't have to. You can just use the same build if you're running double medium. That's fine. But this is what I do prefer. And the reason being is Tether on the Void Gauntlet slaps. It has been nerfed in the most recent patch, but it's still really strong. The slow is very good for running people down and burning enemy stamina. But again, you could run either one. You could run one on the armor, one on the VG. It's up to you. I prefer Tether in this build. Scream is good either way too, though. The anti-heal is always nice, especially in a shirking heals meta. In this build, again, I'm running light or medium. If I'm running medium, I'm running the exact same armor setup as the other build. The only difference is I'm not slotting Grit Ward. I'm slotting more Enchanted Ward or Elemental Aversion. Typically, I'll run 350 Intelligence, 25 Strength, Rest Con is what I go for with this build. Now, as far as armor perks and weapon perks, I'm looking for Crippling Reap on the Great Axe. On the armor, again, I already said the VG perks that I'm looking for. Scream, Tether, Obliv. Obliv on the armor, Scream and Tether on weapon and or armor, one or the other. And then, outside of that, I'm looking at health, and then Enchanted Ward, Freedom, Elemental Aversion. Refreshing is not bad in this build, because you do want to cycle your cooldowns. If I am running a medium build, I'm still running Tumbler Shoes. If I'm light, there's two different builds you could go. You can go a featherweight build to try to get to that, like, mid-tier between light and medium, or you can run Nimble Leather Coat to get more cooldowns, in which case I do suggest running 4 Refreshing throughout the build, so that way you can maximize the gimmick of having the extra Refreshing on your build. You can also run the Unyielding Helmet build, which is going to make you a lot tankier to crits. This is really good if you're running those OPRs, or if you're going up against an army that has a lot of like high dex, high fire staff, anti-kill teams, you know, people who were trying to kill the assassins with high crit weapons. So just different things that you can run at that time. All right, guys. Hey, I appreciate your time. I hope this helped. I hope you guys got some good information out of this. If you have any questions, throw it down in the comments, man. I'm always responding to you guys. I love reading what you guys have to say. Any questions at all or any other future videos you want to see, throw them at me. I've got a bunch in the works. So let me know what you're thinking, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one, man. Thanks so much. Peace.